Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. This is middle of the night video number 11. I'm Camille DeSalm. I've been talking about, first let me say, yes, that's my dog Sam looking over a different shoulder this time. And this is not laundry. I'm in a B&B temporarily for about 3 months, and those are just things I'm not using that are in the B&B that aren't mine. I have good news. It probably doesn't sound like good news at first, but it is. I've been talking a little bit about what's going on with my body and my hip, and I've got a fracture in the left hemipelvis that is looks like partly healed maybe, so it's healing. But the doctors, it's funny, I hadn't been to an MD except for regular old OBGYN pap smear test about 3 years ago. I hadn't been to an MD maybe for 15 to 20 years. And now I've seen a bunch of them in the last month because I got an MRI and it showed that maybe there was some disease weakening the bone that made it easier to break in the hip because we couldn't pin the fracture of the hip. It's not totally pulled apart, it's just got a break in it. Couldn't pin it to any one event, like when I fell skating, inline skating. So finally, we found out what it is. And the good news is, it really is good news. Man, it's so relieving to me. The good news is treatment is not surgery and treatment is not radiation. It suggested, the doctor oncologist suggested, he could just refer to it as medicine. At one point he said chemotherapy. So medicine, prescription treatment for the disease, and then also the same kind of stuff that's used to treat osteoporosis to help the fracture heal and help I think just the bone structure of the left side of the pelvic bones get a little more normal because they've been trying to encapsulate the disease in the fracture. The disease is cancer. It came from my lungs. So this is so funny. It went from my lungs to my hip and metastasized to there. So I have lung cancer in my lung and I have lung cancer in my hip. I think that's the funny part. I have lung cancer in my hip. I got this news yesterday about a 1 by 2 inch mass in my right lung. I'm asymptomatic for cancer. I know I don't look great right now, but it seriously is like 4:30 in the morning. It was almost 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have any makeup on. And I got out of bed and been reading a while and wanted to do this video. So I may look like I'm symptomatic for cancer, but I'm not. I'm fine. I am symptomatic for having a break in my pelvis because there's pain, but periodically. So it's nice to know what it is. It's nice to know they don't want to do surgery because he believes that would just make things worse if they cut the mass out of my lung. My sister's been going with me to these appointments. Thank you, Michelle. Big help to me. And she said she's actually relieved. And it took me about an hour. We were actually having lunch afterwards after the appointment. And it took me about an hour. I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I said, well, what are you actually feeling? And it was relief for the most part. It really was. And the other part is that I'm confounded just because we don't know why I got cancer in the lung. I mean, we can't trace it to anything. Everything's a guess. Like, my dad was a smoker, 3 packs a day, when we were kids, and my mom developed secondhand smoke problems, and some of my sister's lung problems may be from that. And boy, if mine is from that, it hit awfully late because Dad and Mom separated when I was like 12 or 13, which was a long time ago. So I haven't been around that much smoke for a while. I did wait tables in the 80s and everyone smoked in the restaurants, so there's that. Um, at first, the first term that comes up is malignant. And I thought that's unkind. That's unkind to the cancer. Let's not call it malignant because it's been a huge growth tool for me, even when I didn't know what it was. I just knew I knew the hip problem was going on with the fracture. But when I heard about malignant, I said that, and I said, some people say fight cancer or fuck cancer or beat cancer. And I thought, I tear up just at that thought because that's just adding more hatred and anger possibly. And fight as opposed to give up, sure, but those aren't our only two options. I mean, we have other options. I wrote a whole damn book about it. It's a short book, but about how to work with parts of yourself that you're having trouble with. Well, the cancer is a part of me now. I mean, it's my body grew it. It grew just like a computer, just like other stuff in our body. It responds to, it's created out of being told to do it, right? Or something. So whether it's an emotional trigger or nutritional or what, it's in response to something. And it may be a mix, like maybe mine's a mix of, I don't know what all. I know there are emotional stuff in there, and maybe the rest is just chemical stuff in my body. I don't know that much about the actual science of cancer. So my reaction isn't to fight, but to love it. Call it a growth tool, because it is. Appreciate what I'm learning from it. And when I meditate, work on seeing the cancer cells work with the immune cells for the cancer cells either to run their course and just be at the end of their life cycle and die, or a friend of mine said be escorted out by the immune system that's dealing with it. Be escorted out of my body. I love that picture. Someone else, a friend, said fight and imagine. She said maybe you could even imagine your immune system as knights on white horses charging the cancer cells and fighting them. And I like half of that image, but the fighting doesn't work for me. So that's my third option. That's what I choose. I'm really happy that in 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, Tuesday. This is Saturday morning, Tuesday. I'm going to a Kyle Cease meditation seminar. 6 days in a lovely part of California. It'd be a nice break from being poked and prodded and poked with needles and time to imagine the cancer cells being escorted out by the immune system cells or eaten. Maybe the cancer cells are ready to jump on that buffet table and be eaten and be done. Oh man, might as well amuse yourself with this, right? So I'm feeling relief now. What I've gone through is, of course, anxiety, loss of sleep. I think two or 3 nights ago, basically all I did was catch bits of sleep here and there and cry. I mean, lots of crying. Jeez. And I thought this is probably normal. I don't know. I plan to find a support group just so other people go, oh yeah, I did. That's how I did that too, just so I will have a sense of, I guess, normalcy in the middle of something that is very unusual for me. So I'm working on walking still because the fracture has affected my walking. So I have a big old limp unless I use a cane. So I use a cane all the time, walking stick. orthopedic oncologist that my sister and I went to yesterday said that the treatment is, he said, this is a slow thing and probably take 3 or 4 months before you notice a change in how your hip feels, how the pain feels. And I said, okay. And I'm leading a seminar in September. Thank God I have a woman on staff. She might be my whole staff, Amanda, who can take over the harder hikes if I can't do them. But we'll be hiking in the mornings and doing more seminar type stuff in air conditioned comfort. Thank goodness, after being out hiking in the afternoons. I have it as a goal. It's really a wish to be able to do all of the hikes at that seminar because I love Zion National Park. I have a spiritual bond to it. I don't know. I just really love it. I think it's kind of funny. And yesterday, for the first time, I thought, oh my God, I might actually not be able to do those hikes. And then I thought, well, we'll see. So that's my weird news. Lung cancer in the right lung, a small mass. Lung cancer in my left back hip. I don't know, a couple lesions. I'm not sure. Not going to fight. Going to take a different option and work with it. It's my body. I want to work with it. Probably meditate directly with the cancer itself. I've done that before a long time ago. I meditated directly with cancer in general, as an illness. Man, give that a try. That's fascinating. Yeah. I'm Camille DeSalm, and I think this is the first middle of the night video where I smiled for a long time, and here I am talking about having cancer. Just weird. I really am relieved. Okay, that's all. See you next time.